Hi everyone. Today we have with us Praseedha. She is a third year student at IIT Manipal pursuing CCE. Praseedha is a SWE intern at Google India. She has been selected for the Generation Google Scholarship, previously known as Google Women Techmakers Scholarship. She is the current ML head and WIE General Secretary of IEEE SBM.
Wow, Praseedha, first of all, that sounds so impressive. How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing good. How about you guys?
We are doing great.
We are great.
So, Praseedha, tell me first, how does it feel to get the Google internship?
Well, it feels really nice, like it was kind of unexpected. Yeah, and I'm looking forward to the internship.
Nice.
Great to hear. Great to hear. So now ask you, as the applications for Generation Google Scholarship for 2022 have begun, we would like to know the application process in detail.
Yeah, okay. So last year we had 3 rounds. First was the application stage, the second round was the online test, and the third round was video conversation with the Googler. So each of these process was around for around 3 months, I think. The first stage application filling, I can divide it into 3 parts. That is your basic contact details, your work experience, which includes like probably you're interning somewhere or you're working as club head or you're doing some research under a professor, which is part of the work experience. And the third part and the most important part is the essays. You're supposed to write essays based on leadership, community engagement, women in tech, and your tech interests. And you'll also have to include your resume as well, which should have projects. And the better the projects, the more chances of you getting shortlisted. The second round is an online test. For us, it was like around 10 days after the application. Uh, we had 2 rounds, I think. It was for about 30 minutes each. The first was a general aptitude test along with English, MCQ. And the second was also a DSA test, kind of test, which was also MCQ based, which is kind of easy. Like at least I felt it easy. And then if you qualify both these rounds, you get shortlisted for the video conversation with the Googler, which is the third and the final round. And in this round, they're basically checking what you have told in your essays is correct or not, because all they know about you is your essays and your resume. And this is more of an opportunity to interact with the Googlers. Like you get to speak to them, ask questions, and also they get to know you better. And if you qualify that, you get the scholarship. This was the process that we had last year. There are few changes this year, but I'm not sure about the exact changes, so it's better to check.
All right. So, Praseedha, the internship had like so many rounds. So, did you face any difficulties while applying for it, or and if yes, how did you tackle them?
Yeah, okay. So I didn't face any issues as such, but yeah, I didn't know how exactly the essays were to be. So I did contact a few seniors of mine, like who were previous women tech makers. I contacted them through LinkedIn and then asked them for their previews before I submitted the application. Other than that, yes, it was more detailedly mentioned on the website, so you can just follow that.
Right.
So, Praseedha, to give us some tips and tricks for our viewers to clear the various rounds of the applications.
Oh yeah, sure. Let me tell you probably round wise. So the first round, that is for the application. Essays are the most important, and your resume. For the essays, we were asked questions about two questions. One was about leadership, how we have been involved in some leadership activity, and if there was any issues, how did we tackle them. So here, what they expect from you is you should share if you really faced any issues and how you actually tackled them. And it's not that you have to make up stories, but write what actually happened. And they don't expect a leadership, meaning you get some quotes from the net and then just put that in your essay, but what you as a student have gone through, or in your life, like till now, what you've gone through, something based on you is what they're expecting. The second question was about women in tech for us. And here also, what are the problems that women face in tech. They're not asking about what women face in the corporate world because we are still students. They're asking about what girls face in their college life. So you should probably write like you're suppose the only girl in your class, something like that, and you didn't have a companion or you don't have a good group. That is what they're expecting, and how did you tackle that? Also, you probably would have observed like after class 10, there are a lot of girls in your class, and then suddenly there are only one or two girls in class. So what probably is the reason that many girls don't go into tech fields and choose other fields over tech? What would you do to get more girls into tech? These are the answers that they're expecting, and if you focus on these, you'll be good to go. And also for your resume, include good projects. And the best way to get good projects is probably take part in hackathons and work on real life projects. So that will add value to your application and make you stand out in front of others. Coming to the second round, that is the online test. I didn't prepare anything for it as such, but you could probably just practice general aptitude and revise your basic DSA knowledge. If you're from a CS background, it is very simple and easy. Coming to the third round, that is your interview. It is more of a conversation, so it's not like an interview, it's more of you talking to them, you conversing with them, you figuring out how they work at Google, what are the projects they're working on, how they identify the projects, and also they getting to know you, what are the projects you are working on, are you really what you've written in the essays, like have you written the essays on your own, or did someone else write it for you? And probably you can just read your essays once before giving the interview so that you say the same thing and not something different. And also for the essays, I would just like to add, stick to the word limit that's given because that's important. Yeah.
All right. So can you tell us more about how this scholarship has benefited you?
Yeah, sure. First of all, yes, we get the scholarship amount. Other than that, two of the most important things was we had a retreat, a scholars retreat, which was sadly virtual this year. Otherwise, we would have got an opportunity to go to Google office somewhere in Asia Pacific region and interact with the other scholars. But yes, it was still a good experience. We got to interact with other scholars and also Googlers, have one-on-one sessions with them, ask them questions regarding their work. Also, we had a lot of talks, very motivational talks, and we also collaborated on a small project. So it was a wonderful experience for 2 days during the retreat. So the third point and the most important is we get to join a community of scholars from like this time we had around like 70 scholars from the Asia Pacific region. And yeah, we are still in touch with each other. We are collaborating on projects, sharing events that happen across in our colleges with each other, and also working together, sharing opportunities that we come across. So it's really a good community that you can learn and grow with together, and that is, I feel, the most very most benefit of the scholarship that I have.
Right, right. All right. So we hope that our viewers have gained enough information and motivation to apply for the scholarship. Moving on to the Google internship doubts.
How did you come to know about this internship program and what process did you follow to prepare for it?
Okay, coming to how I came to know about this process, like I was planning to apply to Google off campus for the internship process. But before that, I got contacted by a recruiter from Google saying that if I was interested to intern at Google, I had to share my resume with them. And I went ahead with it. I had 2 rounds of technical interviews in like 10 days after the mail, and then I cleared both of them and got the internship. Yeah, so coming to how I prepared for it, Google interviews are mostly DSA based. Like both my interviews were completely DSA based. So yeah, I know having good knowledge of DSA concepts as well as practicing will help a lot. I started prepare like I used to do since my first year. I used to practice DSA every now and then. I used to take contests on CodeCheck, Code Forces, Lead Code, etc. whenever I had time. But yeah, probably few months before the internship season started, I focused a lot on this. I revised all my concepts and started practicing questions on each of the concepts. I used to even conduct sessions for juniors. So even in IEEE, I conducted coding discussions. So that helped me explain my thoughts to others. Because in the interview, they're not only checking your technical skills, but they're also checking how you're communicating, how you're able to explain your thoughts, and how well you write the code. So someone else who's just seeing your code should be able to understand your code without you explaining anything, like without even comments being there. And how well is your code written. So that helped me, like conducting sessions for juniors helped me explain better during my interviews. And also, like on I used to have a discussion, like me and my friend, we used to every alternative day we used to take up a virtual contest and try it out together. So we used to take up each question, think about the solution on our own, and then discuss the solution with each other, and then try out coding it. And then like that helped me like even see how she approached the question and how I'm approaching, what's the difference. Like you can probably write around 20 lines of code, but someone else is writing it in 2 lines. Obviously, the 2-line code is
Right.
much more efficient than yours. Yeah, so that is one more thing that I did. And also, whenever you solve a question, you probably may not be able to solve it in the first time. So what I followed was I used to try it out first, try out the second time, and then try out the third time. If I don't get it, I would check the solution, editorial, and the discussion sessions where other people would have updated the code, because there are a lot of solutions that people put there. And then I used to also mark the question so that I would view it later. Like once I see the question, try it out. After seeing the solution, I try it out. And then I come back to the question a week or two later and try out the same thing. If I'm able to solve it, I try out similar questions of the same kind. And that comes out of my list if I'm able to do it. Otherwise, I keep repeating the same process. So by the end of, say, 1 or 2 months, I'll know the concept very clearly because I'm doing it repeatedly. So that is one more thing that helped me. And I also used to have, like before my interview, I think 2, 3 days before, I had mock interviews with my friends and seniors. That also helped me. So like, yeah, all these small factors were some things that I did for my preparation, and they helped me.
These techniques are really good.
Like the
Yeah.
main key is to practice, know the concepts and then practice. So the more you practice, the more better you'll be able to answer.
Okay. So, Praseedha, I wanted to ask you, did the scholarship help in any way to get the internship?
Yeah, I would say yes, because otherwise applying off campus and getting the resume shortlisted is a hard process.
Uh,
But because I was one of the scholars, I got a direct interview call from one of the recruiters. So yes, it did help me getting an interview call directly.
okay.
Can you tell us a little more about your job, your role at Google?
Yeah, so I'll be interning as a software engineer at Google next year, but the team that I'll be working with or the project that I'll be working on is not yet like allotted to us. It will be probably told to us only in May or April next year. So even I'm looking forward to it. And probably I can answer this next year.
All right. Can you tell us more about your technical interests? Like what fields in tech interest you? A bit more about their scope in the future.
Yeah, sure. I am more interested in machine learning and artificial intelligence.
Mm.
I've tried out web dev as well, but more inclined towards machine learning because they have a lot of real life applications. Like, say
Right.
you use finger recognition or face recognition to unlock your
Mm.
phone, or
Mm.
okay, suppose say you don't know something. The first thing that anyone would do is Google it. Have you ever
Right.
wondered how Google search works? Or say you're buying a product and then you get recommendations saying this product is close to what you're buying, or even when you're
Mm.
listening to songs. So all this is like based on machine learning, and it's kind of interesting because you can improve the algorithms a lot and have a lot of real life applications. And I feel this field does have a lot of scope in the future as well, because whatever we have right now probably wasn't there 10 years ago, and
Right.
what would be there 10 years after, we don't know. So it's kind of probably there's some new innovation that comes up. So I'm looking forward to working in this field, and I think, yeah, that's one of my interests. Other than that, I want to get into cloud computing as well, because I feel that would have a lot of scope in the future.
Okay.
What all projects have you worked on till date, and how helpful were these projects to building your towards building your resume?
Okay. Yeah, so I've worked on like 4 or 5 projects. Most of them are team projects because they're based on hackathons that I took part in since my first year. Yeah, a few of them would be we built an application for the differently able to help them lead better lives during COVID-19. One more was we built a platform, a community for women to help them during their pregnancy. Other than that, we also built a platform like a single-use multi-purpose card that produces identity on demand instantaneously. And the most recent one that I was working on, like until 2 days ago, was a live streaming application that will boost the e-commerce society in the future. So all of these projects, like the first two were based on machine learning, and the last two were MERN stack-based, like web dev-based projects. So since these are part of hackathons, like we had a schedule of like 2 months time to work on each project. So it gave me a lot of time to learn the tech stacks as well as build a project side by side. So building all these projects did help me learn a lot. Like I learned a lot, not just the tech stacks, but also working as a team and also collaborating on projects and also debugging someone else's code. Not just my own code, but someone else's code as well, because that is most important. And working in a team, of course. Yeah, so and these projects are some things that I've listed on my resume as well. And since these are real life projects, I feel like I am still thinking of improving on them as well in the future so that they can be used by everyone.
Could you give some ideas for beginner beginner
Beginner level.
project?
Okay. I would see. So suppose you're learning a new tech stack. I would suggest learn the basics, and then you can. There are a lot of YouTube videos wherein suppose you're learning Python, or you just Google Python projects. You get a list of projects that people have worked on. For beginners, you can try them out. They explain how they work. So you can try these out just for learning sake. But for projects that you put on your resume, I would suggest take part in hackathons because during the hackathons, the projects that you build will be something unique and you'll learn a lot as well. So probably like learn the tech stack and try out these projects which is there on YouTube for learning, and then take part in hackathons. Like just go ahead and try it. Uh, During the process, you'll not only have a product built, you'll also learn a lot, and even if you don't win, it's still an opportunity. Like you'll still have a side project. So I think these projects would be best even for a beginner level, because probably the best time to start was yesterday. If not, the next best time is like now. Tomorrow is not an option. So go ahead and try.
All right. So, Praseedha, I would like to ask you about your future plans. Do you wish to continue working at FANG, or do you wish to pursue higher studies, or do you wish to work at a growing startup? What is your plan and why?
Okay. Seems like an interesting question. Uh, yeah, I would probably choose to work at FANG because it's well established. And yes, they're working on cutting edge technologies, which is like a good learning option for me and a good growing option for me. So I would choose FANG over startups as well. And for higher studies, I don't have a solid plan as such. My main focus is right now working, and then if I am interested, I'll go for higher studies later on. Because like I've heard from a few of the seniors as well as few industry lists that probably having a work experience in the IT field before you do your higher studies will add more value. So I'm
Hmm.
thinking of doing that. So I'll probably decide later on my higher studies.
Okay. Okay, Praseedha, I have another interesting question for you. If you had a chance to go back to your past self, like what advice would you give her?
Okay. Yeah, I started with CS probably like after I came to engineering. Probably I would have started a bit earlier because this seems so interesting compared to what we study in school. Other than that, like as I said, hackathons helped me learn a lot, and I started with taking part in hackathons only like towards the end of my first year. I would probably have started it like right from the beginning. Yeah, I think these are the two things that I would like to say to my previous self.
Okay. So that's it then. With this, we have come to the end of our interview. Thanks a lot, Praseedha, for keeping up with us and for providing a lot of information about the scholarship and the Google internship. This is surely going to help a lot of young freshers and second years who are aiming for Google or who just love to code. So uh,
Up with us, and thank you to the viewers. If you enjoyed the video, please press the like button, drop a comment, and ring the bell icon. And please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Do follow our Instagram page as well, as we put up a lot of technical content there. And we have many such interviews lined up in the future, so stay tuned.